Hey y'all, it's Kenya, aka Taymon Rebel, back for another drama review. Pretty Noona who buys me food, or something in the rain. So, let's get it started because I have a lot to say about these two main characters and their love life. Oh, yes. So, quick plot summary. Gina is a district manager to a coffee shop. I believe it's called Coffee Bay in the show. She recently breaks up with her ex-boyfriend and decides to dedicate herself to work. But before that's able to happen, her best friend's younger brother comes back to town and they fall in love. Despite their hardships, they really do love each other. But they mostly just have to deal with Gina's very, very judgmental mother. Her friend, how it affects her friendship with her best friend, since it is her younger brother, and their, I believe, if I remember, 3 to 4 year age gap, which is apparently a really big thing over there. Despite those three main things, it's a very simple love story about two people who fall in love and have to deal with everyday life. So there's not really much of a plot. So if you don't like slice of life, if you don't like slow build-ups, and if you don't like very artistic directional views, like just moments where people are just standing there and thinking, then this is not the show for you. It's not at all, because you're just gonna be really bored out of your mind. I'm gonna put my 2 cents in early on in this review because this show is hugely character driven, and I'm mostly take up the time just talking about characters. I mean, I usually do only take up time talking about characters, but these two characters have so much to deal with, like romantically wise, that it's just going to take a lot more to for me to explain, for people to understand different perspectives of them. So I'm gonna start with Gina. Gina is a 35-year-old woman who honestly she's just really floating through life. She's going through what she feels is normal to go through as a woman. I'm dating someone that has a good background, I should marry him, and I should have kids. She's going through the flow of those things. So when she does break up with her boyfriend and ends up with Junhee, she realizes she doesn't have to follow the flow of things. She can be herself, you know? So it's hard to learn to be yourself while also learning to be with someone. And that was literally Gina's struggle the whole time. Learning to love herself and make decisions for herself while also trying to depend on her lover. She had a really hard time learning how to depend on Junhee, which ultimately led to half the stuff they went through. She's realizing, I don't have to follow the status quo. I don't have to be a pushover. I can learn to stick up for myself. And this man is showing me that I need to be appreciated more. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to appreciate myself more. That was the first thought I had of of Gina. And I thought, she feels so relatable. Like, there are so many women going through what she's going through. It feels so relatable. And as their relationship goes on, she decides to start fighting the misogyny in her office. That was very awe-inspiring for her to finally start to come into herself that way. Some viewed her as weak, but I viewed her as having so many different societal pressures coming at her and succumbing to them. Her mom was making her was trying to make her find somebody that was wealthy. Her job was trying to demean her. Her relationship was asking more from her. She had so much stuff going on. It's hard not to succumb to that and then realize I'm still a person that needs to figure herself out. And if I have to implicate my relationship, my job, and my mom and family for that, I'm going to have to do what's best for me in the end. And most people would view that as selfish, because there are a lot of people out there who would rather put somebody else above their own well-being. And also because Junhee did do a lot for her. He did want to be there for her, but she was also a grown woman, and she also wanted to learn how to be there for herself. So I'm not saying Gina went about the right way with anything she did at all, because there were way different ways she could have handled the situation. There were way different ways she could have told him, but I don't fault her for the type of decisions she was trying to make, but just didn't execute the right way. One thing, Gina had a lot going on, y'all. Like, her mom is so judgmental. She fights with her all the time. Her work is so when it comes to the men. And you're trying to make a relationship work. I don't expect any sane woman to make every decision as the right decision every single time. I don't expect that from any type of woman who's going through so much all the time. Okay? That was constant for her. And I just felt like nobody gave her the benefit of the doubt. But this drama was a perfect example of falling head over heels for someone, and then becoming oneself, learning yourself, and then trying to realize if the person you're becoming is for the good or for the worse, or for the better. Because like I said, not everything Gina decided to do was a good decision. Not everything she decided to keep from Junhee was a good decision. But she was starting to learn who she was becoming. So Junhee is the type of guy every woman, lady wants. You know? He's kind, he's sensible, he's caring, can have a bit of a temper, but women find that sexy apparently, you know? So he's everything a woman wants in a man. But I think he came at the right time for Gina, but I don't think he was understanding how fast he was changing her, and that's what got him. Because Junhee is a good guy. He's a good guy. Like, anybody would want to date him, but he also had his own faults. Everybody blamed Gina for Everybody blamed Gina for making decisions without him. What about when Junhee made decisions without her? He wanted to go away with her and just thought she'd pick up and leave. Don't work that way. It doesn't work that way. He thought if he protected her like this, she wouldn't go out and still make her own decision. No, just because you feel like you're protecting me doesn't mean I can't protect myself. And as nice as he was, I feel as though he always made Gina feel like the bad guy whenever she was adulting, which she did comment on sooner in the show, and I felt that too earlier on. Every time she was trying to be an adult or just taking care of him in ways she knew how to, which was her way of being kind, he never realized it was her only way of knowing how to be kind. He didn't bother trying to understand that. And that's where I fell off from him at, because you're working hard and you think you're the only one working hard when Gina was working hard in her own way too. And that's where it kind of diverted. And honestly, other than with his father issue, he had about the least amount of problems in the whole show. Gina had so much going on, but Junhee, his most basic problem was his father, and the most other problem that came through was Gina's mom being so judgmental of him, because he didn't come from a good family, because he only works at a gaming company. Dude's making bank. I don't know what her mom thinking, but he was making bank. And so despite all of that explanation, the show can get very bland, the characters can get very flat, and it can feel like the plot is going absolutely nowhere, because half the time it is going absolutely nowhere, because half the time there is no plot. And I can understand people's frustrations with that, and that's totally fine. The things I did love about this drama before they got kind of messed up in the end, Gina and Junhee were very adamant about their relationship. They were ride or die. They were on the go together. They were willing to be together no matter what happened. Obviously, you know, until you start realizing who you want to be on your own, but with outside sources, they weren't going to let anybody penetrate their love for each other. I appreciate Gina and her friendship with the sister. It was so nice to know that despite the hardship she went through it the first time telling her that they were together, that the sister wanted to still have a friendship with her. I really love that. For a while. Like, everything I loved happened for a while, and then it kind of just blit at the end. This review was mostly just because I felt a connection with Gina and Junhee and how it is to actually be in a very, very serious romance. But knowing that you're probably hurting your significant other in ways that you didn't expect to, even though, and your misunderstandings were just growing more than your love for each other. So I really appreciate this drama for showing the shortcomings it is to be in a relationship, but also the bright moments it takes to also be in one. My overall feelings for the show was I really did enjoy the show, but I did get a bit disappointed in the ending. It left me a bit drier than I expected. I thought I was going to enjoy it more, but I really didn't. But I did really love the outcomes that the show gave to me. By the way, it was a decent show. It was a good characterization. I really did appreciate the soundtrack. It was a bit overplayed, but not even a bit. It was a lot overplayed. But it fit the show. The songs really did fit the show. I was singing along every single time because it helped that they were in English. And I love the direction, the camera angles, the artistry. It was always like you were peeking over somebody's shoulder when somebody was having a secret meeting, or it felt like you were interrupting their lovers moment when they were also eating. When they were eating at restaurants and stuff, the camera would like look through like the door panel, and it was like, oh, we're interrupting their lovey-dovey moment, and it always made me feel like, I'm like peering into somebody's love life, and it's awesome. So I really did appreciate the directorial decisions that they made, the production and stuff, and the cinematography. So this is kind of sporadic, but at the same time, this is really how I felt about the show. It's most likely an unpopular opinion, and I am going to stick with it that I don't fault Gina for half of her decisions. So I'm going to stick with that. You can tell me why you don't in the comments below, or you tell me why you love the show in the comments below. But I really did enjoy the show. So it gets a 7 from me. It was going to get an 8, but I decided to go with a 7 for a couple things, especially the misogyny issue. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, share. So thank you. Bye.